Who would have thought that a Mexican restaurant born in the chilly Midwest, started by two guys with no Hispanic roots, and named after a girlfriend, would explode into a nationwide sensation? With a name like Chi-Chi's and zero ties to authentic Mexican roots, it sounds like a recipe for failure. But against all odds, this unlikely venture exploded into a multi-million-dollar franchise with hundreds of locations. So, what happened? Today, you won't find a single Chi-Chi's in the US, and its collapse wasn't just about bad business. It was a deadly demise, literally. This is the unbelievable rise and tragic fall of Chi-Chi's. Marno McDermott, a self-proclaimed Mexican food enthusiast, was convinced that the Midwest was ready for a full-service Mexican restaurant. He teamed up with Max McGee, a former NFL player turned celebrity restaurateur, to bring the idea to life. In 1975, they opened the first Chi-Chi's in an unexpected location, downtown Minneapolis. It turned out to be an inspired choice. With few Mexican dining options in the region, quickly attracted curious diners and generated over $2 million in its first year. But the restaurant's success wasn't just about timing and location. It was also about smart cultural adaptation, specializing in Sonoran-style cuisine, known for its milder, less spicy flavors. Chi-Chi's introduced many Americans to Mexican food in a way that felt approachable and familiar. For a chain pioneering a new category in an unfamiliar market, it was a savvy, strategic move. With its low prices, laid-back atmosphere, and a menu full of Mexican favorites infused with a cheesy, deep-fried Midwestern twist, Chi-Chi's quickly skyrocketed in popularity. Customers embraced what the chain called a celebration of food, indulging in fried ice cream, the burro, chichimichangas, frozen margaritas, oversized ultimate combos, and even a $5 all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. McDermott and McGee's early success soon attracted attention, most notably from John Steffens, a Minnesota-based stockbroker. Sensing a national opportunity, Steffens persuaded McDermott to sell him the rights to expand and franchise Chi-Chi's across the country. To lead the charge, they needed more than just someone who loved seafood enchiladas and fried ice cream. They needed real operational expertise. Enter Shelley Frank, then vice president of real estate and construction at a still rising fast food chain called Kentucky Fried Chicken. Starting in the early 1980s, Frank drove rapid expansion of company-owned stores, spurred on by stores which frequently opened to sales of $70,000 or $80,000 a week. Chi-Chi's spread throughout the Midwest, where they had virtually no competition. Between 1981 and 1983, the number of company-owned restaurants jumped from just 1 to 46, and profits skyrocketed, growing more than tenfold to over $9 million by 1983. Chi-Chi's was riding high, seemingly unstoppable as profits soared and new locations opened at breakneck speed. But beneath the surface, the chain was stretching itself thin, too focused on growth to recognize the structural cracks forming from its rapid expansion. The warning signs were there, but success made them easy to ignore. By the late 1980s, the tides had begun to turn for Chi-Chi's. It became clear that the chain had expanded too aggressively for its own good. The company built enormous restaurants, some as large as 12,000 square feet, that proved too costly to run efficiently. On top of that, they clustered locations too closely together in an attempt to dominate specific areas. But demand didn't rise to meet supply, and with too many restaurants competing for the same customers, average sales per store took a hit. Chi-Chi's overexpanded into saturated markets, just as the restaurant industry faced challenges. Declining alcohol consumption, rising competition in casual dining, and more Americans choosing to eat at home. These factors made it harder for the chain to sustain its growth. When Shelley Frank stepped down in 1986, Chi-Chi's made a bold move, recruiting Hal Smith, the president and CEO of rising rival, Chili's, to take the reins. He quickly identified three key issues: declining sales, low unit profitability, and high management turnover. To address these, Smith prioritized open communication and cutting bureaucracy. He met personally with every middle and upper-level manager to understand the company's challenges, earning the support of the guys on the ground. Within 2 years, Smith had created a team of employees, from executives to managers and waitstaff, that felt committed to working at Chi-Chi's. Financial benefits began to appear early in 1987, and the company started to look appealing to outside investors once more. By 1988, the company was purchased by San Diego-based Foodmaker Incorporated, the owner of Jack in the Box restaurants, then the country's fifth largest fast food chain. The chain did well for a period, hitting its best year in 1990 with sales of $450 million. But the tightening economy and rising competition soon took a toll. Fast food chains added Mexican items, while non-Mexican restaurants outperformed Chi-Chi's in offering low-cost, lively dining. Competitors like Olive Garden, Cookers, and Macaroni Grill drew customers away with a fresher, more inviting image. Early in 1994, Chi-Chi's was acquired by Family Restaurants Incorporation, who already owned Chi-Chi's top competitor, El Torito. It was a strategic move to consolidate and strengthen its presence in the casual Mexican dining market. The intention of the acquisition was to allow them to streamline operations through shared supply chains, marketing, and management. However, throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, Chi-Chi's still struggled with declining sales and a dated image. By 2000, Chi-Chi's was a shadow of its former self. Sales had been slashed in half from their 1990 peak. Efforts to update the menu and advertising failed to reverse the trend. The chain faced criticism for unhealthy food, while rivals like Don Pablo's outshined it with fresher menus and modern open store designs. To make matters worse, the newly renamed parent company, Prandium, also owned two other struggling chains, Kukuru and Hamburger Hamlet. The combined weight of their failures proved too much, and the debt-laden corporation ultimately filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2002. Although Prandium emerged intact from its bankruptcy the following year, it wasn't enough to solve Chi-Chi's deep-rooted problems. The chain filed for bankruptcy in 2003, and while many businesses recover, Chi-Chi's faced a tragic and final blow from an unexpected crisis.
Someone, probably an employee, spread the hepatitis virus by not washing their hands after going to the bathroom.
When a public health issue and a restaurant's reputation come together like this, prompt action is vital.
The outbreak sickened over 600 people, including 13 employees, and claimed 4 lives. Over 9,000 customers required hepatitis shots. Though the chain had already filed for bankruptcy, courts allowed victims to sue. In the end, Chi-Chi's ultimately paid out more than $40 million in settlements. Their lawsuit against the onion supplier failed, and by then, Chi-Chi's had already vanished from the American dining scene for good.